So I'll be glad to take some questions.
Governor Brian Palmer, writing for the Free Press. This is a powerful symbolic move, and I say that as a descendant of enslaved people and someone who's FOIA'd pretty much every county in Virginia to find out how much money has been spent on these monuments, and who's FOIA'd the city of Richmond. But what people are asking for on the street now is concrete steps to address police brutality, concrete steps toward racial justice, a comprehensive plan. So this is powerfully symbolic, but what are those plans? Statewide Marcus alert, a real look at police brutality. I mean, there's $3.4 million recently invested in putting school resource officers into schools, while Minneapolis is canceling its contract with police.
Yes.
Where are we going here toward those concrete steps toward genuine racial justice?
It's a great question, and the question is about what are we doing in Virginia to address police brutality and really prevent what the world witnessed in Minneapolis. And I think the first step is to realize that we have a problem, and then to have people come together and have a dialogue. When I say people come together, people like myself, police chiefs, legislators, all these types of people, and talk about how we turn what we have experienced, how we turn words into action. And so, I think there's some very concrete steps that we can and plan to take in Virginia. One of those, and we've been working on for the past year or so, is diversifying our police forces, our staffs. That needs to happen. Having more interaction with the communities, letting people out in communities know that police officers are there to help them, not to hurt them. Techniques such as de-escalating. How do we train better for those situations? Body cameras. We've addressed that in Virginia, and we'll continue to work on that. So again, there are a number of things that we have been and will continue to work on in Virginia to really address the police brutality. And I think from a cooperative point of view, and just in discussions I've had, everybody wants to be part of this. We cannot allow, we as a society cannot allow we have witnessed not just in Minneapolis, but in all the other instances as well. So now's the time to bring people together, to take words, but to turn them into action, and that's what we'll continue to do in Virginia.
Can you address the timing of this? I mean, you asked about Tuesday. Why now?
Alan, the question is why now? And I think it's pretty apparent as we look around this country. There is pain. Certainly, Alan, as a physician, I can recognize the pain along with a lot of other people, and now is the time to heal. So we made this decision. We're proud of this decision, and we're taking a new direction in Virginia.
Governor, there's some folks who think that by moving all of these monuments, there will be a great financial loss to the state, up to 10 to 12 billions of dollars. Could you respond to that? On the sidebar, for those non-people of color or non-African Americans who say this talk of white privilege doesn't exist, can't they be convinced? What would you say to convince them?
The first question, Andre, was the expense. And while there will be an expense to removing these Confederate monuments, I think there's a much greater expense when we don't welcome people to Virginia, when we aren't inclusive in Virginia. So this is symbolic, but to let people around the world, and especially in this country, know that Virginia is a place of inclusiveness. It's a place of welcoming people. Our doors are open, our lights are on. That's the most important message, and there's no price to that. And so we're certainly more than willing to use the resources that it will take to take these monuments down, and to also have the discussion of what should happen to them as we move forward. Your second question was, what about white oppression, white privilege? Thank you. And I think, Andre, the answer to that is it's about education. It's about telling the truth of 400 years of history here in this country. And while there have been some good things, there are also many things that aren't good. And I think that certainly as I've gone around and listened and learned, and as I said earlier, the more we learn, the more we can do. I encourage all Virginians, white, black, doesn't matter what color they are, I encourage all of them to learn of our history and to learn how hurtful and listen to people tell their stories of how hurtful these things are. And if we know that history, then we can move forward. And so that's what certainly as governor, and I know a lot of the other leaders here, we'll do as we move forward.
Governor, can you provide more details on what is actually going to be removed from the site, and also what's going to happen to some of the Black Lives Matter and anti-police brutality messages that have been graffitied onto the monument?
Yeah, the question is the stepwise fashion, and the first step of removing the monument, the first step is to talk with our contractors and make plans in the coming weeks to remove the actual bronze part of the statue. That will be placed in a warehouse, and then we'll have discussion as far as what to do with the pedestal. Will we put another monument on top of the pedestal? So that discussion will continue as we move forward. And the second part of your question?
What is going to be done with some of the messages that have been graffitied onto it, the Black Lives Matter and anti-police brutality messages?
We're in the midst of those discussions.
Governor, can you describe the process of making this decision? Was there an image you saw or something someone said to you that made you decide, okay, I've got to go ahead and act?
Greg, as I said, as a physician, I can recognize pain. There's tremendous pain. It's been going on for a long time, but it was brought into particular focus in Minneapolis. And then we've seen the protest here in Virginia, not only in Richmond, but in other cities and towns across Virginia. So the pain is real. I recognize that. And so I made the decision as far as time-wise. This is something we've been working on the legalities of for probably over a year with my lead counsel, but I made the decision Tuesday afternoon just because of what I see. And as I said earlier, it's a time for Virginia, it's time for this country to heal. And when there are symbols of divisiveness, such as these statues are, in order to heal that divisiveness, the statues need to come down.
Do you believe that this will act as a charge to other localities, particularly in central and southwest Virginia, that they should be following suit with what's going to happen here in Richmond?
Well, I would encourage not only folks from across Virginia, but across this great country of ours, that we have 400 years of history behind us. And as our Lieutenant Governor eloquently said, it's time to chart a new course of history, not only for Virginia, not only for this country. And if one really wants to understand that history, we need to go back and really look at the evolution of black oppression that started with slavery in this country. And I think a lot of people say, well, slavery is behind us, so black oppression is behind us. But then we had Jim Crow era, and then we had massive resistance, and then mass incarceration, and now we have videos and pictures of brutality like we saw in Minneapolis. So black oppression is still with us. And so the more that we can all understand that history, the better we can move forward. I want to thank you all again for being part of this historical day. And as we have said, we have lived in Virginia, we've lived in this country with 400 years of history, and today is an opportunity for us all to chart a new course, and it starts with removing these symbols. It starts with a further addressing the monuments of inequity that we have talked about, and it starts with all of us together in a peaceful and a civil way, making sure that this country, this Commonwealth of Virginia, is a place where we welcome people, where our lights are on, our doors are open, where we are inclusive to all people. So thank you all for being part of this today, and we will look forward to seeing you soon.